First, we'll open your eyes. Then we'll open your minds. We'll pull the wool from over your eyes and give you a peek behind the curtain to show you the world for what it is and what it might be. This is Beyond Normal Views.
Greetings, fellow Earthlings, and anybody else out in the cosmos who may be joining us for the ride. You may want to strap yourself in because you never know where the ship may be going. We dare to be different, and we are here for your edutainment.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our inaugural show. This is Beyond Normal Views. My name is Alex. I am cautiously optimistic, but I am a realist. I don't see the glass as half full or the glass as half empty. I am just glad that the glass is still there. I believe in making fuck, not war, but this is not the summer of 1969. This is the summer of what the fuck 2016. The world is slowly spinning out of control because people are realizing they're getting a raw deal. It started overseas, but then eventually the tide started to wash over the United States of apathy. Because while the masses were sitting on their asses, a divide grew between the classes. The corporate-owned media doesn't help either, only painting a small picture of the world at times, but they do a better job of dividing, distracting, deceiving, and dumbing down the public, pouring gasoline onto the fire of fear, hate, and ignorance, turning the land of the free and the home of the brave, known as the United States of America, into a shell of its former self, known as the divided states of idiocracy.
Hello, my name is James, and you are on a rock hurling through space around a dying star. I waffle between naive faith in humanity and the nihilistic certainty that we are all violent and impulsive chimps whose only redeeming quality is that we know and can realize that we are violent, impulsive chimps. Maybe do something about that. So, Alex, what makes your views beyond normal?
I don't know if it's because I hit my head. I was on all kinds of ADD medication during the experimental phases in the 80s, experimenting drugs in my 20s and drinking, or maybe it's the way I was raised. You know, my parents raised me to look at all the different religions and all the political parties and make up my own decision. And then I kind of decided that, you know what, I'll take a little of this and a little of that and I'll put it in my toolbox and move along. And I got ridiculed for it all the way up until my 30s. And then people said, you know what? We thought you were weird, but now you're starting to make sense. And some people still think I'm weird, and I'm perfectly fine like that. I'm willing to let my freak flag fly.
Normal people are boring.
Yeah, and they usually vote for Trump and Clinton.
Oh,
Turd sandwich.
well, kind of an odd couple thing going on here. I had a fairly, I guess, normal, air quotes, you can't see me, upbringing. I didn't, I never got very much into heavy drugs myself.
I never did heavy drugs.
Oh, well,
Psychedelic and marijuana.
I think that's my white suburban upbringing coming through, where I consider marijuana a heavy drug.
I'm hyper enough. Me on coke, I've never touched it. I would blast off like a rocket ship. Fuck that.
Well, no, actually, I have some experimentation with the marijuanas.
The devil's weed.
But I was raised in a very conservative, very Christian home. It wasn't until I was actually encouraged to start looking into things for myself, in my early 20s, that I, started to see, around that curtain, that, people, that barrier that people put up, that picture that they like to show other people. And the world gradually started to change. And I've seen, so my personal views here are what I would consider very middle of the road. I don't think that, it's one side is right and the other is always wrong. I'm going to quote Bruce Boxleitner from Babylon 5 here, if anybody gets that reference. There's three sides to every story: their side, your side, their side, and the truth. So being middle of the road, I've found out in this political economy right now, is actually not a normal view. You have the extreme leftists that are saying, no, we want a collectivist ideology. We want, shared responsibility for, past events. And then you have the far right with Trump that wants to build a wall. And, and I'm stuck in the middle with both of those. Sound insane, and I don't know what to do about that.
I don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right.
Yeah. Oh, content ID.
Yeah, I was raised to really look up to rebels. I grew up listening to the counterculture hippie music, and then I eventually got into hip hop during the late 80s when you had Public Enemy and Boogie Down Productions, and then eventually in the 90s you had rock and rap like Rage Against the Machine, and I grew up on stand-up comedy, and Bill Hicks and George Carlin are two of my heroes, and just anybody who thinks outside the box. And I kind of realized that, maybe the way I was raised, there is no box.
Yeah.
Life can be limitless when you look at it that way, because you're raised a certain way and you're stuck in that box. And eventually you might be able to undo your programming and see that there's a different world out there. If you're stuck in that little box, then you might end up being one of them extreme leftists or the people on the extreme right. And getting those people out of the box is next to impossible.
And that's I can even accept those views. I want to talk to those people and find out where are you coming from. That's wildly interesting to me. But from both sides, I have been called, we can't drop any names here, can we? No, we really shouldn't do that. From other people that I know who are on the far right, look at me and say, oh, you are a progressive liberal and you want socialism. Where the hell how did you get that from me? Just because you're so far to the right that anything beyond you looks like the left. And same thing from the other side, where I made the biggest mistake of arguing on the internet.
Can't do that.
I do it so often. It
kills brain cells.
I do it so often, it's embarrassing. Well, that, I was called a white supremacist conservative. I'm going, what? But again, the individual I was speaking to, I love her very much, is pushed so far to the left that anything resembling going back towards the middle looks like right wing. I don't have either of those views in me. Both of those look so far to the extreme, but I'm the oddball out.
Yeah, when you're raised a certain way or programmed a certain way to have a certain political ideology, it's almost like they're in a cult. And anything that they hear outside of that is just like scratching a chalkboard. And they're like, get away from me! No, you're going to take my views!
Oh, but it turns... I find that more damaging than anything else. My experience coming... mostly argue with people on the left, is that words like racist are thrown out, where it's not really indicative of the person's view. It's just they're using that to shut them up. Like, I don't agree with your view, but I'm still not a racist. And in fact, by using that for everything, it's taking away the power of the word, and it's giving more credence to people who are real, actual racists, real sexist, real misogynists, that absolutely do hate women and hate people of color, it lessens the effect of those words on them when you start applying it to everyone who disagrees with you.
Yeah, and ever since the too much information age of the internet, there seems to be a lot more people like that. And I think they're finding people who are members of their fellow cult. Yes, I will call them cults. And they're reinforcing their own views. And I don't think the media helps when you have the media on the right and the media on the left, and then they turn on the TV just to reinforce their own views to go, oh, yeah, I am right.
Oh, God. Fox News is double, so is MSNBC, and they are one and the same.
Yes, two different sides, the same testicle.
I think this is a fitting topic for our first show. Is this where media is going? This sort of independent view on the news, and especially the news coming through social media. We no longer feel that we can trust outside news outlets that are, well, maybe not outside, what's the word I'm looking for?
Alternative media.
Traditional news outlets.
The dinosaur corporate media.
Yeah, that have so many ads that it's bought and paid for media. I can't trust that. And I think a lot of people are feeling that too. And there's this push towards this alternative or independent media.
Well, it doesn't help when 5 to 6 corporations own most of the mainstream media, and there's this thing called interlocked directorates, where somebody who sits on a board of a media outlet will sit on the board of an energy outlet, like a big oil outlet, and they might sit on a board of somebody like Johnson and Johnson. So basically, if they say anything against anybody who advertises on their station or anything that they represent, like General Electric would be a good example. They used to own a biggest share of NBC till Comcast took over. And so anything negative that General Electric did, including the defense industry and the nuclear industry,
just didn't get covered.
The stories got buried. Same thing with ABC and Disney. ABC was not allowed to say anything bad about Disney. You do not bite the hand that feeds. So, the journalists might have a story that they want to put out there, but it might not get past the producer of the show. They go, no, this can't happen. We can't talk bad about this. So they basically get stuck with the same talking points. And so you flip from one channel to the other channel to the other channel, and they're reporting the same story over and over again. You ever seen the clips on Conan O'Brien, where he would basically take the same news story all over the nation, and they would basically read the same script?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happened to a lot of the mainstream media. They shut down a lot of the foreign bureaus. They shut down a lot of the local bureaus. So they're basically getting the same news feed, and that's all they're allowed to read. They're not allowed to go outside that. They might a little bit to make you think you're getting a nice subjective view, but you're just getting watered down news, the same views that mostly reinforce what they want you to think. And that's mostly why people tend to repeat the same talking points over and over again, which has led us to our current state of idiocracy, where we have people voting for Trump and Clinton for the most part, even though they're two of the most despised candidates in recent history running for president. People are like, I have to pick one of the lesser of the evils.
Stop. No, you don't. Quote, this is a two-party system is the biggest lie that has ever been told to the American public. You don't have to pick one or the other. There is Gary Johnson, libertarian ticket. Quite honestly, that's what I usually end up going with. There's the Green Party with Jill Stein. If you're a Bernie supporter and you are not pleased with the way that the DNC shoved him out of the race, leave. Go Green Party. If between the two of these parties, they take a substantial percentage away from the Republicans, that's going to send the loudest message that we could possibly make.
And I think at least I would say maybe half of the voters out there don't want to pick Trump or Clinton, and the reason that most of them that don't want to are going to because they're like anybody but Trump, anybody but Clinton. It's all about defeating Trump. It's all about defeating Clinton. Then what happens if the 50% of the people decide to vote for Jill Stein and Gary Johnson? It's going to send the two-party system into a tailspin.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have 4 years of a cluster bleep down in Washington.
Maybe that's what we need. I'm sorry. Maybe that's exactly what we need. It happened. I mean, parties die. We don't have a Whig party anymore. We don't have a Bull Moose party anymore. We don't have Jeffersonian Democrats anymore. These things happen. Let it take its course. We need to take back our political rights.
Yeah, and we will be discussing that more on a show down the road, so we can get in depth of what a clusterfuck of a system that we have here. And this is who we are. We are Beyond Normal Views, and now it's time for some news and views. The corporate and the alternative media have the election covered like a naughty slut at a bukkake fest. So here is some of what's going on in the world that some of you might not be privy to yet. From Breitbart, London, in Germany, police have raided 60 homes for xenophobic Facebook posts. The police raids took place as part of the government's fight against verbal radicalization, which it said has increased in the wake of Europe's migrant crisis. BKA President Holger Munch said attacks on migrant shelters were the result of radicalization on social media. Police seized storage devices such as laptops and mobile phones, as well as made a handful of arrests. Mr. Munch explained that today's action makes clear that police authorities, the federal and state governments, act firmly against hate and incitement on the internet. The number of cases of right-wing politically motivated hate crimes on the internet has increased significantly in the wake of Europe's refugee crisis. The BKA president said that, adding that they must not be allowed to poison the social climate. In Berlin, Interior Minister Thomas de Maizière claimed that violence, even verbal violence in any form, in any context, was unacceptable. Justice Minister Heiko Maas said that there is no place for hate speech on the internet or on the streets, warning there will be severe penalties to anyone who breaks the law. Today in Germany, they put limitations on free speech and expression due to the tough legislation that makes incitement to violence or hatred, glorification of Nazism, Holocaust denial, defamation of the president, the federal republic, the flag, the national anthem, or states of the republic a criminal act. Under a ruling in 2000 by the Federal Constitutional Court, political criticism does not qualify as insulting the republic. Therefore, political speech is protected. So basically, you have freedom of speech when it comes to your political views in Germany, but when it comes to everything else, you better watch what you say or they're going to come after you, especially if you are a troll on Facebook.
So Germany has really restrictive speech laws, especially when it comes to Nazi paraphernalia. If you deny the Holocaust, you're going to prison. If you, for even showing, even sometimes in an educational sense, swastikas, the SS, Iron Cross, all of these Nazi symbols and imagery can land you in a lot of hot water and a lot of trouble. But the problem is they've taken this to the point where criticism of the government is being classified as this hate speech. They're being accused of being Nazi sympathizers or neo-Nazis or even right-wing is enough. Even though the Nazis were the socialist left-wing party. So the German government has tapped into basically an anti-Nazi organization to work with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to root out the supposed hate speech, which is really just criticizing the migrant situation. Even criticizing that people have seen crime in their hometowns go up. Criticizing or showing proof about what happened in Cologne and in New Year's Eve all throughout. showing this has become a hate crime. So they've teamed up with a anti-Nazi organization who is run by Anita Kane, Kahne, who's former Stasi, East German communist spy Stasi, to work with YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to find these hate crimes, this hate speech, and give their information to the German government, of which they then use to raid their homes. This sounding familiar?
Yeah, it's like the NSA on steroids. They pretty much pick up people because you speak against the government, you speak against anybody who's different from you, and so much for free speech, so much for privacy.
George Orwell's most, LSD-ridden fever dream couldn't have come up with this.
And how about some conspiracy speculation and paranormal news? Mysterious daily booms have small town in California looking into the sky and spawn alien theories. No! Glenn White, a local teacher and geologist who has researched the sound extensively, told local ABC affiliate KXTV that he thinks the noise comes from bombs and grenades exploding. White said he believes the explosions come from an army depot outside of Hawthorne, Nevada, about 100 miles away from Sonora, California. There, a private company disposes of and dismantles old munitions. They go through old munitions, bombs, grenades, and then we destroy them, White explained, and he has video footage to back up his claim. Ken Thomas, a contracting officer for the Hawthorne Army Depot, told ABC News Today that they do detonate munitions on a regular basis at the depot when the munitions are past their shelf life, but he's not convinced that it can be heard all the way in Sonora.
So this is one of my favorite conspiracy theories where the explanations for them are so varied that it's essentially not falsifiable. There's so many things that it could be. I've experienced the booms several times where I live, and it sounds like somebody dropped a heavy piece of furniture on the floor above us. Except we live on the top floor.
So it sounds like it's coming from above?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just booms, but other sounds. There's the Belle Isle roar, if you haven't heard about that.
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. Some of the neighborhoods in Detroit will experience like this, loud hum or buzzing for a period of time. It was in the Detroit Free Press a couple months back.
And I know these are experienced all over the country, and there's even a website that specializes at strangesounds.org. They say it could be sonic booms, it could be earthquakes, it could be volcanoes, it could be caused from fracking. Some people even say that it could be, they're excavating underground, building tunnels, lizard people.
Yeah. Well, sonic booms are not supposed to happen above populated areas to begin with. So I mean that's FAA regulated. So that's one of the things that should be counted out. There's also if you have an exploding head syndrome.
I've heard of that one.
Where it typically happens to people who are falling asleep at night, where they'll say it sounds like a car crash, something like that. I have a physical view on that. Your brain is starting to shut down. Things fire in different ways. You ever heard your name called out, like as you're falling asleep at night? So yeah, that's kind of what I like about this, is that there are so many reasons for it, but almost none of them completely provable, and that makes for good conspiracy theory.
Yes, it could be UFOs coming from other dimensions and just popping through.
That's absolutely a thing that
We could be in a giant snow globe and somebody's knocking.
We are in the eye of a blue-eyed cyclops.
Fuck. I can't sleep tonight, thanks.
But this isn't. The other thing about this is it's not a modern event either. You can find references to large boom sounds going way, way back in our history. Reports of clear day, no thunder, but still a thunderclap, a boom.
So it's one of those things where they've never proven what it is. They can speculate all day and they might never prove what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes for good conspiracy theory. It does.
Yes, like the earth is flat. From usnews.com, a non-governmental organization in Bosnia named Pasavina Without Mines is warning people not to walk into minefields while playing Pokemon Go. Bosnia is one of the world's most heavily mined countries. Britain's Foreign Office advises travelers don't stray from roads and paved areas without an experienced guide. Unless you have an experienced guide, you should avoid the open countryside and especially destroyed or abandoned buildings, neglected land, untarred roads, woods and orchards, private property, and abandoned villages. I think we don't even need Captain Obvious for this one. If you're playing Pokemon Go, don't walk through a minefield. Duh.
Well, the problem is looking up. And to be fair, I love Pokemon Go. I can't wait till I get my new phone that will actually play it. I'm going to die in the first week of having it. I'm certain of this.
It's an ADD magnet. It's good. It's good to see people who normally don't get exercise are getting exercise. And instead of playing video games inside, they're playing outside. But when people aren't paying attention to where they're going, like a couple kids walked off of a cliff and almost died, people are getting shot at for going in the wrong properties. People are crossing across expressways.
There were a couple of kids that crossed the border into Canada unknowingly playing this game.
Imagine if they crossed the border into Mexico and got kidnapped by a drug gang.
But you're right, though. I think it's a double-edged sword. You see a lot of stupidity and just not paying attention going on. But then on the other hand, you have, I think, a new way to connect with people. Like you just see groups of people in parks in numbers that I know I personally haven't seen in many years. Like, yeah, it's kind of via their phones, but they're still out and they're looking up at people and saying, "What'd you catch today?"
Yeah, I've noticed that. And they just need to be wise in where they're placing some of the Pokemon. Like I think somewhere in a Holocaust cemetery.
Oh.
And that was people weren't too happy about that one.
Yep.
And do you remember that girl at a mall a few years ago who wasn't paying attention where she was going? She was playing with her phone and she tripped and she fell in the fountain. And they released the video on YouTube and she ended up suing the mall because everyone was laughing at her. Yeah, when are we going to have the first Pokemon Go lawsuit?
I'm almost certain it's happened already. Just nobody's picked it up yet.
And what cracks me up is like some of the conspiracy speculators out there, and Oliver Stone actually said that he thinks it's our way to shift into totalitarianism because they're able to surveil where we are at all times, collect all of our information. I don't know about that one, unless maybe it's a plot by the Japanese. Yes! They're going to find all the information on how to invade America. They're finally going to get us.
South Park did it.
Oh! Does that mean Simpsons did
it? But technology, there's a good use, there's a bad use for it. I think that there's enough already to put us into a surveillance state. I think we're in a surveillance state already, and Pokemon Go is like well behind the curve. If that's the socialist globalist plan, they're a little bit late with Pokemon Go.
Yeah, when I first seen the game and I watched people play it, I'm like, this seems like it would have been cool 10 years ago for
Oh, I
the
think it's cool
Game Boy.
now.
It's not my bag, but I'm glad that people are out there getting exercise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we said it at the same time, you have to look out for yourself, but you have to look out for stupid people too. There was the article about. I think it's a little bit of hyperbole saying that playing Pokemon Go is a death sentence if you're black, but the guy has a point too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people stereotype in this country. I mean, they might do that to other races too, so.
Well, but particularly like going back to the surveillance state that we have, a lot of paranoia going around saying, "Oh, who is this? Who's this black person walking around in front of my house?" You know, that kind of suspicion isn't necessarily warranted. And true to form, if you call the police on a person the way that the police in this country are, it's likely they're going to shoot you. It's even more. It's even more likely they're going to shoot you if you're black. Unfortunately.
Yeah, the way things are going in this country right now, they're really pouring fuel onto the fire of the blacks versus the police. And it's unfortunate that it's going on right now. And they're acting like police are getting killed left and right, where I think statistically the police deaths by civilians is down the most it's been in 20 years.
Violence across the board actually has been, but this is part of this bizarre culture of paranoia that has crept up in this. The outside party training of police that come in and tell them every call that you get, you're risking your life and you have a right to protect yourself by any means whatsoever. And they're teaching cops to shoot first, to shoot excessively, and this is creating the the powder keg that is American civil rights at this point.
Meet the for-profit company training police to shoot without hesitation. From usuncut.com, the St. Anthony, Minnesota police officer who killed Philando Castile, Geronimo Yanez, was trained in a class that enforces the idea that police are under a constant threat and could be killed in the blink of an eye if they hesitate. The Bulletproof Warrior, a course offered by the Caliber Press, which is based in Illinois, is offered to law enforcement personnel across the country and focuses intensely on preparing officers for encounters in which they're at risk of being shot and killed on the job. A preview of the course on the Caliber Press YouTube channel shows instructors who are police officers and former police emphasizing the danger of the law enforcement profession to a room full of officers. I don't care how you read case law. I don't care how well you deliver a knee strike. I don't care if you cannot communicate, one of the officers said. You're screwed.
See, this is the kind of just absolute fear mongering that is put what I truly think are otherwise rational individuals that can make and should be in positions where they can make split second life death decisions. It's put them into this military mindset, like they're in a war zone, but they're not. They're in American streets, but they still treat it like it's a war zone. Worse than a war zone. Our soldiers are not. Our military is not trained in this manner.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Especially seeing the way that the police have been reacting lately and shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah, exactly. Like the what happened to the incident down in Florida. There was an autistic adult male, and autism is something that's not fully understood. It's really comes down like a communication and a processing problem. But I think he's walking around. He's sitting playing with a truck in the road.
Yeah, and then they call and say that there's somebody walking around with a gun threatening to kill themselves. I don't see how they equated that.
This is going back to the same sort of paranoia has infiltrated our daily routine, our daily society. But the cop shows up and, oh Lord, I can't remember his name.
That man's name was Charles Kinsey, the man that was shot.
But the social worker who was in charge, the professional who this man was in his charge, trying to calm him down, trying to get him back in, had control of the situation. Cops just the cops, all they hear is gun. Come out, guns drawn, screaming at an autistic man, get on the ground, hands in the air. Doesn't matter what they're doing. If he's even aware of what they're there and they're talking to him, what their demands are. And you have the social worker yelling out, telling them, I'm his caseworker, I'm trying to de-escalate this situation. He's autistic. And so the guy just shoots.
Hits him in the leg. And then when the guy asked him, so why did you shoot me? He's like, I don't know. And then he comes out and later says, I was aiming for the autistic kid. It's like, does that make it any better?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, no, well, sorry, he didn't even say, I'm sorry, I shot you. They handcuffed him and let him bleed for 20 minutes until while they first called their union rep, then called the ambulance, I'm sure, as that's what standard procedure is.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
And yeah, it's the where was I got lost. And of course, this professional man doing his job is an African American, and they fired on him. Are we surprised at this point? Is it still hashtag not all cops? Is that still the point that we're at right now?
And the sad thing is that's not the only story. We're reading several stories a week, like in
it's once a week.
Wynwood, Oklahoma, there is a police officer who shot a 3-year-old bulldog when he was there to serve a warrant. And it turned out the warrant they're there to serve was somebody who hadn't lived there in 10 years. And he claimed that the dog was coming at him. And then he shot the dog 2 more times in front of the dog's owner and kids. And then pictures from the scene were showing that the dog was all the way up at the fence. The dog was nowhere near him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, they're shooting dogs, they're shooting people. And the sad thing is it's only a handful of cops that are making the rest of them look bad. It's not all the cops are that bad.
Here's my argument to that. If you work in a police department and you see these things happening,
you call them out.
Are you calling them out? Are you demanding from your higher ranks that these people are punished for their absolute abuse of authority and force? If you're not, you're complicit. And it's the same sort of brotherhood attitude that has allowed this. The fearmonger training, the insistence that they have. Here's my beyond normal view. The insistence that a police officer has a right to defend his life at all costs. I'm sorry, you don't. If you don't want to be put in danger like that, don't be a police officer.
Isn't their job to protect and serve us?
Yes. Your job is a servant to the community and to enforce the law, not to summarily execute people you think are breaking the law. Does that put your life in danger? Yes, it does. Don't be a cop. Plain and simple. If you don't want to get shot at over in Afghanistan or wherever it is you think you're fighting for freedom, don't be a soldier. It comes with the job.
I agree. Settle down, cops. All right, we've covered some pretty rough subjects there, and we're going to get a little bit in the goofy end here. This week in Florida news from the Sun Sentinel Florida news section, report toothless naked woman with propane tank sparks concern for officers. Now, these are probably some of the better cops who are having a fun time with this one. Deputies find a fine, upstanding citizen named Sarah Jo Longacre naked inside a Naples garage, sucking on a propane tank, which she tried to light, but thankfully the tank was empty. She also bit one of the officer's hands.
Wait. Why was she sucking on the propane tank?
I'll tell you why.
Oh, okay.
She also bit one of the officer's hands, but she had no teeth, so there's no injury. Insert blowjob joke here. Longacre allegedly told deputies that she had drinking 2 liters of booze. Maybe it was the booze. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it's something in the air in Florida, because we have another crazy news story. Woman with pills in car says drugs belong to her dog. From the Offbeat with Greenlee, tcpalm.com, Anita Weimer, 56, on July 10, told St. Lucie County Sheriff's investigators that elazopam, which is known as Xanax, and diazepam pills used in treating anxiety disorders in her vehicle were prescribed to her dog. A deputy stopped Weiner about 3 a.m. after investigators said she was traveling more than 90 miles an hour on Interstate 95 in St. Lucie West Boulevard. Weimer smelled the booze, you think? After she said she had a few drinks, Weimer took field sobriety exercises and was arrested on a DUI charge. In her vehicle, investigators found 13 Xanax pills and 2 diazepam pills. She couldn't provide proof that she had a prescription. Weiner then later stated that the pills were prescribed to her dog and she only took 1. Weimer of Fort Pierce was arrested on charges related to having prescription pills without a prescription. Her dog could not be reached for comment. Where did these people from Florida, where does this come from? Why Florida?
The best thing about this is, like, Prozac for your dog is a thing.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy dogs, especially some of the little dogs, little yappers.
Oh no! This is. We should have a pharmaceutical conspiracy show at some point, because that can this story could taper into that very well. Why, your dog does not need Xanax. Number 2, don't tell the cops you've only taken 1. Or you've had a few drinks. Just shut up. Just, you're only ever going to make things worse for yourself. Oh, but God bless Florida.
Yeah,
because they provide us with so much entertainment.
They do.
Fun game.
Great place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there.
I spent 3 years there. Good old Jacksonville. And yeah, that's a hell of a time. Things happen there. Fun Google game to play. Just type in Florida man and search, and you will come up with astounding headlines.
And this week in What the Fuck news, this is surprisingly not in Florida, but Corvallis, Oregon. Naked man with meth and vodka found in a couple's car. From KPTV, a naked man with meth paraphernalia and vodka was found in a couple's car outside a movie theater, according to police. The police officers responded to Carmike Cinemas on Northeast Circle Boulevard at 9:49 p.m. I like how they have the exact time. On a Monday, after a couple called 911 to report a naked man sitting in the front passenger seat of their vehicle. The couple just came from a movie and they found a naked man in their car. It gets better. The officers arrived to find the man masturbating with his shorts around his ankles and his feet up on the dashboard. Police said the man appeared to be under the influence of a controlled substance. You think? I wonder if it was propane.
Yeah, it's 9:49 in Corvallis. What else are you gonna do? Meth and masturbate, man. That's a Saturday.
They searched the car and they found some meth and a bottle of vodka. I mean, that could have been the couple's. He could have just, look, there's meth and vodka in that car. I'm going to have me a good time. And, oh, man, I didn't.
That would have been the best alibi for that guy. This is here when I found it. That was here with that. Everyone, no, this is how we're going to destroy lawyers. Represent yourself in court, and your only testimony is, it was like that when I got there. Our lawyers want us to tell you that we are in no way qualified to give legal advice of any kind, and you should never take anything that we have to say seriously in any way whatsoever.
Yes, we talk about serious issues because we have serious issues.
That's a good one. I like that.
Now, here's another fine, upstanding citizen for you. This is from NOLA.com. A woman stole $19,475 from a Kenner church to pay her light bill. A woman who came to a Kenner church for help with a delinquent utility bill is now accused of stealing more than 19 grand from the church's coffers to pay for her car, her insurance, her cable, and other bills. Sharifa Watkins, 27, of Kenner, Louisiana, was arrested and booked with identity theft valued over $1,000, illegal transfer of monetary funds, and being a fugitive from another jurisdiction. Baptist Church in Kenner contacted police on June 21st after he noticed a shortfall in the church's bank account. The pastor did a little digging and realized that someone seemed to be paying personal bills with the church's money without permission.
Who has $20,000 bills?
Well,
I'm paying off my student loans.
Well, she went to the church and she asked for a little bit of charity, but then she ended up stealing the bank's account and routing information numbers, and she paid her Sprint cell phone account $3,253.
Well, it is Sprint.
Yeah, it is Sprint. Cox Cable, $1,135. She paid the Jefferson Parish Water Department $489. She paid her energy bill $2,139. State Farm $4,967. Car insurance is a ripoff.
That sounds like a standard monthly plan.
Allstate Insurance Company $311, and she paid her Consumer USA car payment $7,181.
Unbelievable.
So she basically asked for charity to pay her utility bill, and then she took the check from that place. And I've been subject to identity theft before. Somebody took my check and drained my bank account.
Oh.
A lawyer.
Wow.
I'm not going to get into details here, but yeah, be careful who you write a check to, because they can use that information to basically use your checking account as their own.
I don't care. I pay the $3 and I get a corporate draft check from my bank. I pay with there's only one bill that I pay with that. Everything else is online. Not that online is the most secure thing, and I have had somebody try to use my card once, but I got a phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning from a reporting agency saying, like, "Are you in Kalamazoo?" No. And well, somebody tried to use your card, and they gave me, it was like $350 at a grocery store. Like, nope. In fact, my card's right here.
I've had my own bank account. I mean, my own card. No, wait. I've actually had my own activity on my card show up as suspicious activity when I was traveling. And
which is great.
They shut my card off right away, and they make you call and verify your information that you made the purchase.
Quite honestly, I would rather have to make that step than have somebody, buying shit in, Japan when you're here.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit of a pain in the ass at the time, but I'd much rather have, to call my bank and say, yes, this is me and I'm over here. These are legitimate, than getting your account, just logging into your account and seeing, $500, $1,000, God knows where.
Yeah, and when it comes to writing checks, all your account information's right on that check. You're better off doing what James here said he does, or using a money order.
Yep.
Money orders are much safer. It does not link anything back to your bank account.
Yep.
And my only concern with credit cards nowadays is since they switched over to a chip, somebody could be so far away from you with a chip reader.
That's likely what happened to me. Because, like I said, they didn't take my card, but the number was tried to use at a grocery store.
They have specialized wallets and sleeves that you can put it in that block that information.
Yeah.
Same with the enhanced license. Because that can be read from far away too.
Oh, I didn't realize they had a chip in that. Oh.
Yes. Soon they will put chips in us.
And the wrist or the forehead.
Need to do your eye
That's a-
scan.
A mark of the beast. Let's just start quoting Revelation scriptures.
Yeah, so when they do the eye scan, it's going to be literal identity theft. I'm going to need your eye. Thank you
Oh
very
god, I'm
much.
thinking like that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report. Oh.
It could come to that. I doubt it. I don't really see. I mean, I know they put chips in dogs now, so
Yeah.
they can be tracked.
Well, they're chipping babies.
What?
When my son was born, they asked us if we wanted to do that. I said, well, it's it prevents helps to prevent it's more secure for the hospital, so like nothing gets switched up, and yeah, they offered to chip the baby.
So it
there,
was a
too.
temporary chip.
Sure, if you want to believe that.
Oh, I can hear Orwell rolling in his grave right now.
We were just talking about Facebook handing over the private information of their users to the new German Stasi.
Yes, and every time your phone asks for updates for all your apps and connects everything to your Facebook and all your private information. And
That would be an interesting topic. Like the post-privacy world.
oh, I have a saying: live life like nobody's watching, but put on a good show just in case they are. Especially if you're in Oregon and you're in somebody's car masturbating with meth and vodka. He's
Hey.
putting on a good show.
It was there when it was like that when I got here.
I don't know what happened. You guys got any propane?
I don't understand what she was propane.
Well, this is America, man. I mean, kids were getting high off of Freon. We had the bath salt phenomenon. Where people are eating each other and flying off of roofs. I remember the first time I walked into a party store and they had a whole display case of the K2 and the spice and the bath salts.
Yep.
And I asked them what it was, and they're like, well, basically,
It's synthetic
it's
marijuana.
it's synthetic marijuana and synthetic this drug and that drug. All they have to do is change the chemical just a little bit so it's not the exact thing as the other one. I'm like, this is not going to end well.
Vice has a very good little 20-minute documentary about that.
Not going to do it.
No.
No, I watched the documentary, but I'm
Oh,
not
oh.
interested in bath salts or.
Oh no! They showed like some of the where was it? It was in England, because they're having the same problem where like their law system isn't keeping up with the patents, and so they're just making this blatant this blanket. None of this. You can't do anything remotely like this kind of law, and they're going around to some of these kids who are addicted to the legal highs, and they're just fucked up. They are just messed up.
I seen an episode of Intervention where somebody was hooked on computer cleaner, the spray cans.
Yeah.
And it was like for like a 12-second high or something.
Yeah.
She was a good-looking girl until she got hooked on it, and she looked like she was 60 years old and she was in her 20s.
Oh.
It's just sad.
Addiction comes in all kinds of forms, and it doesn't have to be chemical.
Yeah.
People get, I don't know. Well, there's that show, My Strange Addiction. I blame reality TV. Just maybe I'm a cranky old man. I blame reality TV.
You think that was the downfall of America right there? As soon as Survivor and Big Brother and Real World aired, it's like, yeah, and the dominoes will begin to fall. And then this movie named Idiocracy came out in the late 90s, and I remember sitting there watching it and going,
Like Judge of the Prophet.
this looks like that show Jackass and some of this reality TV, and I get going around talking to people, dude, this is a documentary from the future. And then, like, here we are almost 20 years later, and it's like, dude, this is 5 years away when Trump becomes president. We are the United States of Idiocracy.
Oh, shoot. Terry Crews's character name in that movie, what was it?
President Camacho.
Yes! Oh.
That's actually the wallpaper on my phone. Camacho 2016, yes. I don't know. I'm either voting for the meteor or Camacho.
Oh, man.
Have you heard that? It's like 13% of people polled would rather have a meteor hit the Earth than vote for Trump or Clinton.
Oh, I'm on that one.
And the guy who started that meme, like, gets no royalties off of it, didn't trademark it. And it's quite popular. T-shirts, everything.
Well, that usually happens with, memes like that.
It's got to trademark everything.
Or at least just get it. If you can get it up on YouTube and show that you posted it at this time, you can at least get the YouTube revenue.
Yeah, unless you want to invent something, good luck with that one, because they have copyright houses that go out there and just like, think of something that they could create, and when somebody goes to create it, we'll sue them.
That's another topic idea, patent trolls.
Oh yeah, John Oliver has a really good 20-minute segment on that.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like that guy. He has good stuff on his show.
He, I think, is probably the most relevant talk show host on TV right now.
Since
Jon Stewart
left, yeah.
He came back and did Colbert this week.
Oh, I saw a thing
to
about
cover
that.
the RNC. It's pretty interesting.
Oh man.
He'll be on next week too for the DNC.
Nothing is gonna beat Cenk Unger almost getting in a fist fight
with Alex
with
Jones.
Alex Jones.
Yes.
That was the highlight of my week. Like, yes, hit him.
Yeah,
hit him.
That was just. I think there's a history between those two, because it seemed like he showed up on his show trolling him while they were live. And Cenk immediately started to get mad, and then all he had to do was push one button. Cenk got more mad. Well, another button, he went nuclear.
Well, he accused him of Jones accused the Young Turks of taking Saudi money for their show, which isn't right, but it's not exactly wrong, because Young Turks have teamed up with Al Jazeera, and they're basically being allowed to use Al Jazeera journalists as content originators for their show. Remember what I said about Al Jazeera being owned by the Qatari government? And so, I mean, because that's a big boost. You got a major network feeding you information into your show.
And Cenk Uygur is host of the Young Turks, or
well, it's essentially owner, isn't he?
Yes, he's the founder.
Yeah, and so I'm almost certain like that little you're taking Saudi money comment rubbed him in just the right way.
And part of the argument was we criticize the Saudis on our network.
Yeah, but
it was just rude. How would Jones feel if they showed up on his set while they were live?
Alex Jones is a shit starter to begin with, so I'm not surprised by that move from him in the least bit. It's Alex Jones. How do you like our Hillary for prison T-shirts?
Yes, check out the Bill Clinton rape T-shirts. Roger Stone was off screen, and I actually seen smartphone video footage, and he's just sitting there like he had Tourette's, yelling, "Blowjob, blowjob, blowjob, rape, rape, rape," and it was just like I listened to a lot of interviews with Roger Stone, and just like he comes off like he could be a dick, and just right then and there I was like, "What are you, 12?"
Yeah.
And Cenk Uygur got Alex Jones mad, and Alex Jones was calm the whole time. I think he was just, let me push your buttons.
Oh yeah,
he look bad.
He knew exactly what he was doing in there.
It was just a train wreck. The whole RNC was a freaking train wreck.
I know nobody showed up for it. It was 4 days of let's fillet Trump. It just people had no business speaking in a political arena.
And nobody needs to blow Trump. He's off in the corner blowing himself half the time. He's really good at it.
Just legs are wrapped around his own neck like he does yoga. And it's
Shh, don't tell him that. He'll come out with his own Donald Trump yoga line.
you had to say it. You had to say it. You know it's going to be a thing now. I blame you.
Donald Trump yoga.
Oh God, he's going to have his daughters in this creepy relationship.
How many kids does he have? I didn't realize he had so many kids until he started running for president by accident. So I think he started running as a joke, or just for publicity. And
remember, he did like a couple of election cycles ago. He did announce a candidacy because it was him, and he was running with Oprah as his VP pick.
Oh,
do you remember this one?
Nope.
The mid-90s.
Oh. No, I know he's been pushed. Roger Stone actually is friends with him and says that he's been pushing him since like the late 90s, early 2000s to run. And he actually worked with his campaign this time around and quit or got fired or something. And there's disputes about that, but both of them kind of lack credibility at this point.
Just
This election's a turd sandwich. And I mean, unless Gary Johnson and Jill Stein poll enough to get in the debates, it's going to continue to be a turd sandwich, and like you said, the lowest turnout in election history.
Yeah,
because people are just gonna go, "I'm done."
Well, which is really a shame too, because there's more than just the president, vote on that ballot.
Yes,
there's
Congress.
Where honestly, your vote is a lot stronger than than your vote is for the president. So I mean, you still need to show up to vote, at least because there's going to be local things on there.
And that's where you ultimately change things, is locally. You gotta change government from the ground up, not from the top down, unless you want to go executive order after executive order after executive order, which and then at the end, after you completely change over the government, you have an executive order that ends all executive orders.
Well, I want to stop myself even as I say it, but are you familiar with like the Sulla and the Maria, it's the first Civil War? Yeah, the Roman Civil War with Marius and Sulla.
Mm-hmm.
There were two generals, Marius and their names that they were known by were Marius and Sulla. I can't remember their full names. But the Roman army and political structure had broken down to such a point where the generals were ensuring the pay of the soldiers and not Rome. So the soldiers ended up owing their allegiances to their generals rather than to the Roman Senate. And so here you had two separate armies marching towards you. In each one of them, they wanted the consulship, the Roman presidency, essentially. And they, one after another, marched their soldiers into Rome, just beat the shit out of each other. There was some looting, and there's always is. But Sulla eventually won out, destroyed Marius, and took dictatorship powers of Rome, which constitutionally they had, but took dictatorial power for Rome and reformed it. He instituted the cursus honorum, which was basically if you want to get to the consul position, you have to go through all of these ranks first. You have to, I can't remember what the exact order was, but you have to serve as the censor first, and then the uh, basically like a secretary, and then a treasurer, and then the tribune of the plebs, and then you have to you had to work your way up this system, and you had to have certain being a certain age. You had a time frame which you could be voted into those offices. Nobody could be posted into them from above. They had to be elected in by whatever election system was in there. Spent 2 years reforming the way the Roman Republic worked, and then quit and said, I've put in my reforms, I'm done, and went to his farm. And while he had to fight a brutal, bloody civil war and had to do some brutal and bloody things himself, he took the power that he won and reformed the system. Now, the fact that there were precedents set that allowed people like Julius Caesar to come up and destroy it in turn was, I think, just kind of a natural consequence of that. But still, for many years after, they reunited it and put back in some sort of republic process.
So we could use something like that right about now. Somebody to come along, reform the system, and just walk away and go, all right.
Would they walk away? That's the problem. Well, that's like George Washington. They were telling him, like, no, you're here, stay there. You could be a king.
He didn't even want to be president.
Yeah, exactly. Those who desire power are the ones who should be kept from it at all cost.
And some of the people who make the best leaders are people who don't want to be leaders, but they're good at it, and so they're kind of pushed into it, and then they're like, am I done yet?
For the better part of American politics before, I think it was Roosevelt.
Teddy or FDR?
FDR. I could be wrong about this, but the early history of our presidents, they would not campaign for themselves. Other people would go out on their behalf. It was thought as, unsocial, unseemly to go out and tell people why you should be president. Other people campaigned on your behalf, and you didn't talk about it. And it was like, well, if it was a position where it was, well, if I am asked of it, I will do my duty. Was the way that the office of the presidency was looked at as.
Okay, kids, we'd love to stay and play on the playground and keep getting dirty, but the internet just released another porn knockoff of Game of Thrones, so it's time to poof like Nightcrawler. You kids stay out of trouble unless you're raising your fist to the man.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and Google Plus is still a thing. We have that too. We check out our YouTube channel every once in a while. We'll see what updates we have there. And email us at beyondnormalviews@gmail.com. Again, our Twitter is beyond_norm. If you want to hear us ramble incessantly and continue to scream into this microphone for nonsensical numbers of hours, let us know if there are any topics that you want to see.
Yes, and if you'd like to talk to us on the phone and maybe get a little personal, it's 99 cents a minute. $1.49 if you live in Canada, because we love Canada.
And don't worry, our Patreon page is coming. We'll come begging for money very soon.
And if we do build a wall in America, it's to keep us from getting out if Trump is president. Until the next episode.